right, guys, welcome to Invariance.Poker podcast. Today we have John Dunn, who is a former owner of Kojack's Poker Club in Midland, Texas. Hi, John. Say hi.
How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Dirk, who's a longtime poker native in Dallas. And I have here Dirk. He is the epitome of what is wrong with poker players. And he's the antithesis of everything that we stand for here. So we're here for Dirk to add some entertainment to us.
Yeah.
All right. John, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us some history and your background.
Been a business owner my whole life. Graduated high school early and went to work for myself, and just been kind of grinding life out. Found poker. Have a wife and 4 kids, 2 grown adults and 2 younger girls, and found poker in 2011, and just fell in love with the game and been studying it and playing it pretty much ever since.
And Dirk, you want to tell us about yourself so people that don't know you?
Well, I guess I got interested in poker around 2008, maybe 2007. Watched the World Series of Poker, WSOP. Got out there and started playing at the casinos. Didn't even know what I was doing. I had a straight flush, and I turned over my cards and did it one at a time. And the guy was like, I got it straight, but I guess I got a flush too. And the player that was all in against me, he's like, I got slow rolling in the doors. Like, he didn't even know what he had. He never know what slow rolling meant. So, but I've grown since then, and enjoyed the game quite a bit. Enjoyed the strategy of it and the camaraderie of it. Especially with live poker, that's pretty much been predominantly where I've played in. I did a little bit of online, but didn't really like it too much. I like the interaction with a team of the players at the game and how that goes.
Right. So today the topic that we're going to talk about is the poker social club business model, which is actually pretty new. I think Texas is the first one, or is the first major player in this business model. Is that correct, John?
That's correct.
Okay. So John knows because he's been in, I think, Kojack's. When was Kojack established?
2017.
So that's about 4 years. So you have a better understanding of the legalities of everything, because you told me that at the poker table we had the discussion that you have met with some people. So can you kind of tell us some of the news versus the rumors that we keep hearing?
So yeah, I think first off, the legal model of poker in Texas is very strong right now. Mm-hmm. That's my observation. I believe that there's a lot of future growth, and I've not heard a lot of the rumors. I don't guess so. I did when I had the club, and I sold out in 2020. But it is the business model it's done within the legality of the law. So I don't know what rumors. Could you allude to any of those rumors, maybe?
Dirk.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I play it all. By the way, just so you know, I was playing at I played all the underground games, and then whenever I didn't want to ride up to Oklahoma, I played. Of course, I played Oklahoma games, and then this Texas Card House had opened up in 2020, and right at almost perfect timing, right? At the height of the pandemic. Windstar had closed their room down, and then Choctaw was open, but then he had I think a 6-player max on their tables, and the wait time was ridiculous. I mean, like 2 hours, and people would disappear and stuff like that. So impeccable timing in terms of them opening up Texas Card House.
I would agree.
And they've been blown and going, and that's been fine. But the rumor on the street is that, number one, was that Houston, there was a club in Houston that got shut down, and it's not really clear whether the city had anything to do with it, or the owners had flat out ran out of money, but people had gone to the door with their chips and they couldn't get cash. They were calling. It was there was a card player. I sent you the article.
So this is 88 Chan, right?
Yeah.
And this is the club that was also formerly Social 52, and they were pretty much the main club in Houston, the PLO club, the mecca of poker, you could pretty much say in America. And then all of a sudden, from my understanding, is that they sold out. There's some kind of partnership or sales, and then Johnny Chan took. I don't think he took equity. He took more like marketing, branding part of it, and then from there, this is when I heard that news.
Yeah, and I think this is where the genesis of all the rumors got started. Like whether that they were required by the state to shut down. By the city to shut down, or not. And then I've also heard that the word on the street is, again, I mean, this is from the people that play in the poker community in Dallas, was that clubs have gotten letters, or they will get letters as of the 15th. And so somewhere between that activity that took place in Houston and whenever you go play in Oklahoma, the influence that the Indian casinos have over the Dallas Metro. And there's some interplay there in terms of their relationships with, city council and people of influence and power and stuff like that. And it, here in Dallas, I mean, I'm a lifelong resident, so I mean, money talks. I mean, there's a lot of old money that's around here, and the people that have their old money, they have a lot of influence. And one example of that was how Champions had played out. They dumped a ton of money into that spot. It was Three Forks. There's a restaurant called Three Forks. Shut down for a long time. The guy bought that spot, and it's off of Toll Road. People that are familiar with Dallas, and they dumped a ton of money in there.
So let's go. So let's hark on that idea, because this is where a lot of the rumors that I hear from is that some people say is a city issue, then some people say is a county issue, but then you say is a state and issue. That
sure.
So can you kind of clear up some of this misunderstanding?
Yeah, sure. So I think we can dispel these rumors right away. I understand the legality of it. We've had a strong attorney team. We've been a part of my club and San Antonio Card House and Texas Card House and All In Poker Club. I'm not sure if they're still around, but we went and we had lobbyists, and we had a nonprofit set aside to help develop the industry and help meet with lawmakers and have lobbyists to take and help bring legislation to the market, because it's such a good thing. We want to keep the bad actors out and let the good business, people that are going to take care of business, be in on it. And through that, we learned a lot. We talked to state senators in Austin. We talked to state representatives. We spent some time, and we got to share our vision and the model of these poker clubs. Had a lot of great feedback. But the truth is it's up to the district attorney. The district attorney of every county, 256 counties in Texas, everybody has a district attorney. It's up to them, and ultimately it's up to the Texas AG, Ken Paxton. So because of and we went through this early on in 2017, 2018, someone requested an opinion on the law, because the way the Penal Code 47.01 is written, it's very clear, but you have to follow this business model to do it, like the majority of the clubs I've been to in Texas are. And so because of that, but then she requested an opinion to see if the law was going to be, if Ken Paxton would rule against it, and he declined to give an opinion on it. Mm-hmm. And because there was an ongoing lawsuit from something else early on, so there's already an ongoing lawsuit, or was ongoing back in 2018. I'm not sure if it got cleared up, but because of that, Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas, could not give an opinion on that. And so it blocked it out, and it allowed kind of the poker to take off. As far as city letters, I know that early on when we were researching and doing due diligence, we visited clubs in the Dallas area, Collin County being one of them, where some of the first clubs were that got shut down in 2017 and were given cease and desist letters. And so you hear about these letters, it's going to come from the district attorney's office. Collin County, I will tell you, is a hard no on it. And they are till to this day, and Tarrant County is a hard no on it.
Well, when you say the DA, okay, so you say so the legal standing, take that out of the picture, right? I mean, then you have to have the occupancy, sticker on there.
Sure, you have to
Right.
deal with city officials for building codes and whatnot, and
there's
so there could be
zoning-
roadblocks
so they
there.
hit you with the zoning.
It's not a
right?
zoning thing. It's not a zoning thing at all.
That's what my understanding is. What
Zoning has nothing to do with building occupancy. Zoning is whether it's commercial, industrial, residential. If you're in a commercial area, you can go in. It's about planning and getting a certificate of occupancy. You do have to get a certificate of occupancy from the city. There could be roadblocks there because somebody wants to be hard to deal with. But what we did for Kojack's is we went and met with the district attorney of Midland County. Kojack's is in Midland, Texas. We took our attorney, we met with them, we showed our business plan, and she told us, the DA there was a female, she told us that she likes what she sees. She's not saying we can do it or can't do it. She's going to side with whatever Ken Paxton goes with. And
So
Ken Paxton has basically given his blessing on the poker industry because there's been no opinion given on the penal code.
So you know about the Champions place that I'm referring to, right?
A little bit, yes. I have a previous employee that's part of that group, so yeah.
So what was your understanding of?
I haven't heard. I've actually been
Wow.
been on Exodus from poker for about 16 months when I moved out of the country and been doing some missionary work and whatnot, but been back for a couple months. So I was kind of out of the picture for a few months, and so I hadn't really heard, but I'm not real sure on that.
Yeah.
Can't speak to that.
So then, so those are like micro issues, and we could say in the grand scheme of things, different, you could say counties. So we really don't want to get into those details. What we want to get into is more the macro picture.
Okay.
Like, what is the environment right now in terms of what's your perspective? Is it like a hot environment? Is it like, okay? Is it a green light environment? Like, and what are some of the
Both.
hurdles that we, as a collective, that needs to be done so that we could green light this business model?
So, and I'm not sure because COVID happened, so they were supposed to reconvene in 2020. The legislation, when we went with them in 2018, because they go every 2 years and they come into session. And so we were trying to get laws written to go into legislation that would go before legislation that would address the tipping, the hourly, the seat charge, some of the different things that are kind of maybe gray areas that people weren't real sure about. We wanted to get ordinances or legislation put in so it could help the industry because it's there's a lot of action in Texas. There's a lot of rooms in Texas, and there's a lot of opportunity. And not just opportunity, you have opportunity for employment. You have opportunity that you're paying sales tax revenue to the counties, a massive amount. You have opportunity where families are paying child support that never paid child support before because their employers are doing a payroll the right way and doing it correctly as a business. And everybody's life is much more enriched. You're taking all the riffraff out. Because it is a game of strategy, it works. And I think it's had a bad connotation as the gambling, but it's not only because it's been in casinos. But it is a game of skill. And matter of fact, the Olympic Committee is considering it as a game of strategy, like they do backgammon or chess.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so it's there's a lot of positives to it. And as long as business owners and operators will do it the right way and follow the law, I think they got numbers on their side. I think they got so much positivity backing it right now. As you said, the green light to go. It's prime. It's prime right now. But you can't stub your toe and do something wrong if you're just because the other one's gonna push you out. We don't want bad actors in there trying to come from an underground mentality. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but sometimes the entrepreneurship and doing business with integrity and high standards can be a little different than what maybe you would do it in the underground scene. And so that's real important to follow suit with that.
Well, right now we're talking about Texas, though, right? I mean, so
Well, Texas is the only one that is in this business model. So of course,
But so that's my question. Like, do you think it's scalable to other states?
we'll talk about that in the next subject. But let's continue the one this before, because so far we talked about the benefits on the business side, but let's talk about the benefits on the consumer side, the players, right?
Okay.
Okay, so Dirk, can you tell us some of the benefits you see first, and then John, can you tell us some of the benefits as a club owner that you saw from the back end that players don't recognize that they actually benefit from this?
Sure.
So
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, this the grind of driving all the way down to Oklahoma to play poker, and that's a beating because if you're a grinder like myself, you'll be there for many hours.
grind those losses.
24 plus hours, and driving back is just a nightmare. But so I mean, that aspect of it. My other choices are again the underground games, which the rakes are ridiculous. And that's a different scene altogether. I mean, that's a different collection of people that go for a different reason, and I probably don't have to go into those reasons. But so I mean, as long as the hourly is reasonable, and I have a chance to buy, like over here at Poker House, you can buy 5 hours for $55. So $11 an hour is not too bad. And shout out to Poker House. They're doing the 2-5 for $5 an hour, guys. So come on out.
Yeah, it's been a great game.
So if all the benefits, which one do you like the most?
Just pretty much the time savings for not driving all the way out to
So convenience and lifestyle versus the numbers.
Literally, like the Texas is right down the street from my house, and so I'll make a trip to this one. But,
Now, what are some of the benefits that the players don't see?
Well, the drive, the cost of going to Vegas or Oklahoma from any random town in Texas, the cost of airfare, or possibly what you're going to spend out in Vegas. A lot of people go to Vegas to play poker. So you're saving a ton of money with that alone. And then the rake on top of that, it's a very fair amount for a seat rental to do it this way. And I believe it saves. When we looked at it, market studies, it was about a 30% savings on a rake pot on a decent game, not like a small 1-2, but maybe like an average 2-5. So it's the benefits are there for that. You're in a safe environment. Poker players, typically most of them, besides the true degenerates out there, they come to play poker. They don't come to play blackjack or craps or do all that other stuff. So it kind of, you keep the distractions down. You're in a club environment. You get to build relationships with people. You get to expand your horizons. You get to learn a lot. It's just a different vibe coming to a private club than it would be to a casino atmosphere or an underground.
One thing that an idea that people brought up was that whereas in the club model, you only get poker players, whereas at the casino, you get slot players coming in. So you might have better quality games, but is that true though? Because at least here you get poker players, but you get all skills level versus over there you have a lot more, you could say pros. I don't know what the balance is.
I would suggest that you have more opportunity to get the guy that is just there to have fun, blow some cash,
Rex.
Only plays poker with his buddies once a month.
Recreationals.
Yeah, they'll come and drop $600, $700, $800, whatever dollars down. They're just having fun. You're not gonna have that player come into here. I mean, you're gonna have to have some other attractions like right now. I know they're pitted to get liquor service, and that's great. But that's why their wife will go play the slot machines, which is boring to them, and they'll go play poker.
But then you also get the access to the businessmen and some of the people that don't want to drive to casinos, and they're like, hey, I want to come out. There's a club here, 15 minutes. I will come. So
after work.
Yeah. Do you think there's a balance then? You balances out.
I've seen a little bit of it a couple months back playing here. I've seen a little bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
But those guys typically go to the underground games just because they're for entertainment. And
they're looking for more than just
yeah, exactly.
That is true. Then, so when you say a 30% reduction, so does that mean that on average, let's say if I were to pay $2,000 a month in fees, that means that I could say I'm projecting that if I went to the casino, I would be paying $2,600 in rake. That's how you're calculating it because of the savings.
Yeah, wow. So that's a big number, $2,000 a month in fees. Are you talking about from the legal club business model?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, let's just say here you're paying 200 hours.
Yep. Yeah.
So then, okay, so
because when you're saying that, you're probably playing 2-5 and bigger.
Yeah, because when I ran the numbers at WinStar, let's just say here $10 an hour, right? And then an hour, the table receives $90. Then you divide it by how many hands. Let's just say $30 hands. So each hand is $3 a hand. So that means that whoever wins is paying, you could say $3 a hand in rake. Is that? I have to run the math.
That's an interesting.
Yeah. So
well,
I've heard it done different ways.
And you do have a you do have a point there, because if you have a player that's very tight that doesn't play a lot of hands, he's going to come out better in a rake pot game. Players that play, if you're going to play 200 hours a month, you're not a tight knit player. I highly doubt you are, and so that player is going to save in the hourly system, with the hourly monthly system. I've tracked both the best I can. It's kind of hard sometimes to track a rate game in a casino, but obviously the hourly we track with the tracker. But the numbers are much more favorable than it would be, and especially in underground games. I hear they're really raking them, and I haven't played in any in a while, but I hear that they are because they're sucking high and tip from the legal rooms now. I mean, I got a text today I hadn't seen in. I don't know who it was from. I guess they knew I was back in town, and they have all these promos. Like, wow,
they'll send the limiter to get you from the house. Practically.
So I'm glad to have legal poker in Texas. It's a lot better for the game.
I can tell you a little bit from a player perspective why the benefits. So what people don't know is that the small pots is really where you benefit, because let's say at a casino at WinStar, you have a 2-5. You have one person raise $20 standard raise, and another caller, that's $50. That's max rate already. Whereas here, these small pots, so you're having $5, 10% being deducted out of the pot every time. Whereas here, $50, now your profit is much more profitable in terms of that $50 pot. So those pots are more profitable and valuable.
Because a 1-2 game at the casino is not the same as a 1-2 game here.
Yeah.
They're not the same. You cannot.
Well, I was just talking about in terms of
they'll fall for like $13 over here.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking about in terms of like the savings and rate, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like when you get to $50 pot, there's not enough incentive to play almost when you're losing 10% of your of the pot, which is 20% of your profit. So every time you win this small pot, you're losing 20% profit. It's very costly compared to this game where you're not losing any of that. So
you're equalizing it. You're equalizing it across the board to every player.
Yeah. So that's where the massive saving for me is, but people don't see.
Yeah, and someone that's grinded a lot and understands rake and played a lot of games like that way would have the right mindset to get around it.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of brings up some questions for me. I guess why would they care about the limits on the tables then over here?
Because you don't want to break players.
Yeah.
Do you break players though?
It's protecting the players. They do, because
you can.
Players,
I don't know about that.
If you look at the WinStar did a very good way of managing the ecosystem, where
you have to manage the ecosystem.
Where the 2-5 players, they'll have bad runs, but they'll take a 1 or 2 week, 3 week break, and they'll come back. But if you do it here, where they lose the equivalent of they will lose the whole bankroll in one session, they're not going to come back.
Or the rent.
Yeah, they're not going to come back for 6 months.
Yeah.
So you got to protect those players, and right now the games at TCH 2-5 is not being protected at all.
It is not. It's not a 2-5 game. It's a 10-20 game.
Yeah,
100%. And the 1-2s are not 1-2s.
We had protections in place in our room to eliminate that, because there was just so much crazy oil-filled money out there in Midland, where people are they're coming in with $10,000 and throwing it around in a 2-5 type game. But it really hurts the recreational players that might work at Walmart or Sonic and love the game, but they only got $200, $300 to spend.
Yeah.
But the problem is though, you'll have thousands of dollars, many players at the table with $1,000, $2,000, and then you're maxed out at $500 or whatever,
That's kind of the epitome of poker, right? There's always a balance. It's never right or wrong. There's optimal versus suboptimal. And I think protecting the economy for the long haul is much more optimal versus trying to create a juicy game that's short-sighted.
I agree. There's enough juicy games in a big city like this, so I think it's good. And protect the ecosystem is important. And
I just don't think that that 2-5 TCH ecosystem is going to last very long. Like we've seen how the 10-25 died at WinStar, then the 5-10 died at WinStar, and eventually the 2-5 was the biggest game.
Well, they bumped it, by the way. The max on 2-5 is 1,000
Correct.
at WinStar now.
But you can see the ecosystem just dying. Like it died, and I've seen online poker ecosystem die. And if they don't do anything to protect the ecosystem, it's going to die. And right now the only reason the TCH ecosystem hasn't died yet, because there's so much money in North Dallas right now but I see the money that's going out, and I see who loses, and it's unsustainable to a lot of these players. And
Yeah.
I was here at the beginning, and most of those players that I see at the beginning aren't here anymore. Like it's just new players, and they only come here, they last a few months, and they're gone.
But I will say, is what I've been impressed with since I've been back is Dallas being such an international hub and so many expats here. I've seen a lot of just the European scene over there. I know we talked about it earlier, but there's a slew of Europeans over there that are coming back from Vegas. The timing was just great. Maybe they're coming back from the World Series of Poker, and they've camped out here for a month, and so they're bringing outside money in, which I think is important. And I think that potentially will continue to happen because the word's getting out. Oh, there's poker in Texas. There's poker in Dallas. People don't know about Midland. They don't know really about San Antonio, but they know about Dallas. Yeah. They know about Houston, but Dallas is very. There's a lot of expats here. There's a lot of international culture, way more so than Houston, I would say. And so because of that, the word is out. The Euros and you may even start seeing some Asia Pacific coming over because of the games, because of the marketing of the games and the amount of money on the table. So it's a thriving environment right now, and I think that people will see that and capitalize on it. So I think that'll help sustain us through this time.
Yeah. So then this is where we want to go into the market's future. You had a question, or you wanted a subject you want to talk about earlier?
Well, actually, I kind of wanted to expand on like the European aspect of it. So most of those folks, whenever I do kind of like, I talk to everybody at the table. People that know me and play with me, they know I got a big mouth.
Yeah.
But many of those players, when I ask them, I'm like, hey, man, in Dallas, Texas, how did you find out about this poker room? I mean, like, it's kind of strange, right? Like, why are you popping up over here and camping out for a month or two?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we saw the live stream,
Yep.
Saw all that money on the live stream, and so we want to come, play. And I think that's a great marketing tool, but I also think you could probably look at it as a collective, right? Like if you were to hit the hotels down off of 35 and have some promos to have people come out and have some entertainment and to play poker and stuff like that, they wouldn't even know this room existed without that kind of word being put out, you know? And I think there's, like you had mentioned that you had calculated something like 900 true poker players in the Dallas metro.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. You did mention, though, because we did ask them the market size, and you said there, at any one time, there's 450 concurrent players. The minimum, right? 450 concurrent. That's why we said it was about 90 tables, 400.
Yeah,
did you say that?
I think, yeah.
Okay.
I did.
So
the other night.
So I think that market is so untapped about the knowledge of these rooms. Like I think people still think that they don't understand it. Like the marketing has to have the education as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So are the clubs not marketing here? I've not really watched anything. I've seen some billboards up, but
well, I don't know about marketing. That's a internal operations.
Yeah.
That's none of our business.
I just don't know about the clubs. Are they getting the word out that they're here? I've seen the billboards the Poker House does. I've seen nothing TCH does except for the stream.
I'm not familiar. I think most of them, the marketing is focused on promo centric, where they're giving out money instead of doing brand awareness.
Gotcha.
Because I know that none of these clubs do Facebook targeted ads marketing. I just don't see their ads.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I don't think they're even aware of it, because if they did targeted adding, then they could actually run ads for certain time slots and everything.
Yeah.
But then let's go back to that number that we said Dirk brought up was 450. 450 concurrent. Can you expand more on that number and then tell us where that number you think is going to go?
Well, how did you acquire it, first of all? That's what I was
It's truly a gut feeling, just based upon playing around Texas for the last 8 or 9 years, playing in underground games, playing in rooms, just getting a feel for the game. I mean, it's really just, I think it's about 450. I didn't run no numbers or do any kind of survey. It's just a gut feeling.
Okay.
And I think it's pretty strong, and I think...
Pretty conservative.
You think so? And you would know more because you've been in the underground scene probably a lot and played the casinos. That's just you need a number, here it is. I think it's 450. What would you say it's more around, 800, 900?
Well, let's take some sample size then.
Yeah.
So WinStar on a Saturday, they had maxed out capacity around 40 tables.
Okay.
And then we during WinStar time, if I remember correctly,
By
Dallas.
the way, you don't even have to worry about those players. Most of them were coming from Dallas, so I
Yeah,
mean, I can tell you
right.
that
So then how, during that time, how many underground games did you project that was running at the time? Maybe
Man,
10,
there's probably about
15?
Oh no.
Throw a high number, 20?
No, there's like about 30 something. Any given day I can.
In Dallas.
I could
Wow.
go in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah, I could hit any one of 30
30.
games.
Okay. Well, then let's
I mean, okay. So how about 15 of them were of any size and
okay.
ran on a regular.
And most of them ran one table. So that means that we could say on a given busy Saturday, 70 to 80 tables.
Okay.
Basically, times 9 is 720 players.
Okay.
So that's
So you're right,
that's what
conservative.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's right around the same thing. So then this number looks good and it's going to grow. So is this model only for, why is it only popular in Texas right now? And where do you think it's going to go? What's the next state that's going to adopt this?
I have not looked into any other states. We had visitors come into our club that were from other states, like Colorado or New Mexico or wherever, Oklahoma, and they're like, well, can we do this in our state? I'm like, it depends on your penal code. It's how the penal code is written per the state. And
But is it per the state or is it per the county within the
no,
state?
it's for the state, but the district attorneys are the ones that oversee their county, because Texas is broke up to 256 county, or 52, whatever it is, broke up to the counties there. But the penal code is written by the state.
Okay.
So you have the penal code to follow. And then a lot of the states already have tribal rights, so you're not going to get by that. There's just no way I see that happening. But in a state that has nothing at all, well, I say that, I guess we have one in Eagle Pass, but that's it.
Well,
Indiana.
how many states are there's? I was surprised to find out how many states that actually have casinos.
I think it's something like 20,
It's a good
22.
majority
Yeah,
of
there's a
the
lot.
US.
That,
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, you're not probably gonna have any of those states very interested in doing this.
I think Texas is just it's a favorable thing. Yeah, I mean, it's the way Texas has been set up for years. It was, I think, kind of the perfect storm.
When I was in Michigan, they had kind of underground games, but they call them charity poker.
Uh huh.
Do you,
That's right,
are you
yeah.
familiar with that?
I've heard of it from Chicago. They do that in Chicago.
In the Northeast.
Yes.
When I was playing in the Northeast, they played at the dog tracks, and it wasn't. They couldn't do no limit. It was a limit game.
Yeah.
Which drove me crazy.
bad.
I wanted
But-
to kill myself.
Yeah.
That's my hell, actually, right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do have them, and they have them at, like I said, dog tracks, and
Are you familiar with how that business model works compared to this one? But they say charity.
it's charity as well.
Like,
You think you got to give like half your
you have to give a huge portion,
like a half of
I don't know
your
what the
50% or
percentage is.
something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
of whatever it is to the charity.
The club doesn't make very much.
Because I remember when I was there, that's actually correct. Because when I was there was like two old army veterans that was there, and they represented some charity, and they were there to collect the funds at the end and to go. Is that what you
Yeah,
saw?
in most places it's like they'll do it at the dog track or at the VA club.
Yeah.
VA clubs are big, and there's a lot of towns and places where they don't have anything.
So there was a WinStar player, Tucker. You remember Tucker?
Oh yeah.
So he was looking to this. He was trying to do this, but he was going the not-for-profit model, which is basically all the money will be the cash flow here, but he's looking to make money off of like food and all that. But he just never had the kahunas to go for it. So is that a different model than the non-profit or the charity model, different than this club model?
Oh yeah,
And-
it should be.
Yeah, the state law exactly is, and this is where these clubs are able to come open, is that you cannot profit from the game. Period.
But so that's where the gray area is profit, right? Because then so that's the one that I hear people argue, what is profit? But the charity model, like basically, what makes it different from this model? Because they're collecting fees, they're doing everything the same thing. Are they more, you could say, legal than the social club private model?
I can't really speak to the charity club model, but the Texas model is legal, and so I can speak to that. But I'm not real sure about the charity. I know they do them in Chicago. I've heard of games in Chicago, which is the charity model, but I'm not real sure on how they operate. I've heard it was like 50% they have to give, but I'm not sure how do they rake the pot? Do they charge a door fee? I'm not real sure.
And
Well, at least whenever I played played in the Northeast, and I played again. It was a limit game. They pulled a rake.
Yeah.
Okay, and so
That's what went to the.
I think the rake probably went to the most likely. I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming maybe the rake went to the charity, and then whatever they made on beer and chips and food, probably they were able to keep. I don't know. That's for a fact, but.
So do you think this model, this business will eventually become like a big boys business where all the casinos and all the big business come and cannibalize, buy up everything and just control everything like casinos? Or do you think this will be more like a scattered, more localized, decentralized business?
I think the latter. It'll be a more local, decentralized business, more centralized business to local communities. I don't see the casinos coming in unless they legalize sports betting in all-on casinos in Texas. That's a different story, but the casinos don't make money on poker. We all know that. It's a good. It's almost as poker doesn't belong in a casino. Just like bingo really doesn't belong in a casino, but they have them. This is so good for people. Don't really realize it for the poker player, and just as an entrepreneur, you can sit back and you can just really appreciate what's going on here, because this. Being on the front end of a new industry and helping pave the way, it's been so exciting because it works, and my confidence is that it will always work. So I don't see like Caesars or El Dorado coming in and buying, because it's a profitable business, but it's pennies to them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Low scalability probably.
There's scalability, and I'll say that because like TCH, they're scaling. We were actually coming into the Dallas market in 2019 right behind with them, and ended up, when I sold out, ended up backing off. But we had locations picked out. We had legal team here. We were ready to open in the Metroplex, and decided just to pull the plug on it because I had sold out. But it is definitely scalable. I think it's a great business model that you can franchise. That's what we're looking at doing, is selling franchises, and I think it's very doable, or it can be stayed in a corporate setting.
Well, what if if Sands gets their way? They've been dumping millions and millions of dollars into, and they've had a huge petition, and I really thought it was going to get passed last year, where they're trying to get 4 casinos in the state of Texas. So. One, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, and Houston, and if that should happen, what do you think is going to happen to these type of clubs?
I think the club owners need to stand up and be known that we are poker. We are poker, and build a relationship with the casinos to where they drive the poker out of the casinos. Mm-hmm. Poker can stand alone outside of a casino. You don't have to have a casino for it like you do blackjack or craps or slots. Mm-hmm. Poker is a standalone. It just works well. You look at it, it works well. Yeah. Why do you need the casinos? Are more of an entertainment, going out for the weekend, dinner, drinks, whatever the case might be, having fun, gambling it up. Poker's different. Poker is for most of the players, it's a profitable opportunity to make a really good living. And through that, this business model works very well. So if we could allow the casinos or build relationships with them enough to where we encourage them to where they don't need it, mm-hmm. because they're not making money on the poker rooms. WinStar, they're just not.
Opportunity cost, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of liken that to billiards, right? Mm-hmm. Like billiards clubs, pool tables and darts and stuff, and people that want to play that, they're not gonna. That's where they would go play, right?
So one of the things you brought up, you said, was franchises. So if somebody was to get into this business, do you think it's more profitable to go, okay, I'm going to go one big room, or should I just own a bunch of small franchises?
I don't know how much more room there is for poker clubs in Dallas right mm-hmm. now, in Austin, in San Antonio, in Houston. But really, all the big markets have enough.
Let me repackage that question for you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I was take Dallas out of this example. Say I was going to open up a club outside of Dallas, a couple hours north, for example, East Texas or what have you. How would I size the room? That's the question That's the question you're kind of gaming at, right?
We'll get there in terms of how we're going to execute. But what I'm interested in more of, is it better I guess, but before, is it better to, if we just get into this business, is it better for one person to say, you know what, I'm going to invest in one room, I'm going to focus all my attention to this one room? Or is it better for me to diversify and have 5 rooms of 10 tables in like small cities, like let's say Waco and Tyler and San Angelo, like stuff like that, where you diversify your risk? Which one would you do?
So I like the scalable model to go into other cities, but I want to be the best business model, the best brand of poker wherever I'm at. I think you don't want to be spread too thin. TCH has done a good job. I know the owner. I've been with them on meetings, and they're doing it the right way, and I can appreciate that. Even though there's competition, that they've done a good job doing it, and they've got better and they've improved. Even the poker house here, I know I guess some of the management here, and I've seen some improvement from some other clubs, and so as far as that, it's going to be up to the entrepreneur. What are they comfortable with? Do they want to go hit a home run in a big city and dominate, kind of like Prime Social's done in Houston, or do they want to have a corporate model of 5, or do they want a franchise and allow someone else to get in on it and sell a franchise? You're selling a brand. You're building a brand and you're selling a brand. You're selling a business operation manual. You're selling. It's not just about the felt and the chips and the cards. It's the operations is what makes these rooms go, and having a well-oiled machine is what works. So
here's my observation of the capacity for each city. So Austin only has pretty much the Lodge now, and then you have a few boutique that goes around.
Smaller ones, yeah.
So Dallas right now is TCH with this the poker house is upcoming. It's currently the size of a boutique. San Antonio has Rounders, and then
SA Card House.
Yeah, and all the other ones. And then Houston did have 52 social. I don't know what's the situation. It's Legends now.
Okay.
So it seemed like every city has just capacity for just one large room. But how many are these boutique rooms? How many do you think is sustainable in a city like, let's say, Dallas or Houston?
Man, Dallas has room. I mean, this room, I'll tell you, this room has so much potential. The poker house has so much potential, and they'll get there. It's interesting because Fort Worth is in Tarrant County, McKinney, Frisco is in Collin County. So some of these areas where it would work very good to have a boutique or a no-go. And so strategically it makes it, okay, we're trying to fit everything into Dallas County for right now. If Tarrant County flips it through an election and they have a new DA come in and they change their mind or they have favor, it'll change the whole demographics. It'll change TCH. It'll change everything because there's so many players over on that side that don't want to drive an hour and a half across the Metroplex to play an hour.
So what do you think is the radius in terms of like separation of boutique clubs from the main one? Like how far should, let's say...
I don't think that matters, though. I don't think that matters.
Because you're going to go to where the games are good.
Okay.
You're going to go where the action is.
You're going to go to where the games are good.
That's what we were discussing the other night. You're going to go where other players are.
But as far as boutique, I think you could do a 20-mile drop. Drop one that might be an 8 table room and very far south because you're going to pick up. I just don't want to drive to TCH today because it's up
there. There's people that
there.
live closer to Shuffle and they can't even get one table going.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on over there.
They'll leave that area to drive over to either here or to.
But it's
TCH.
But as long as there's a few tables running and this game's going, I think if you're serving a boutique, then you're trying to be more localized within that community.
And I think a metropolitan area like Dallas-Fort Worth has room for boutiques all around.
Yeah.
And I say all around. Every 20 miles, you could have 6 or 8 around the whole outside, and then a couple of big ones in the middle. I think it'll serve it. You're not gonna, the bigger rooms are gonna do better, but financially, but you're gonna service those areas. You're gonna service just the weekend warriors that want to come out play on the weekend. You're just going to have to market to your crowd if you're going to do one. It's still going to be profitable. You just got to keep your operations cost in line, and if you got to market around there, I think there is because the underground games are spread all around, pretty much all over. So I think it still kind of works.
Okay, so let's help out all the aspiring entrepreneurs since you have experience. What are some of the main success drivers for if you want to start a poker room, be successful? Because everybody at the poker table right now have their own opinions, and the 3 main opinions that everybody has right now is, okay, you need really good promos. Then somebody else comes in, well, no, look at TCH, they have a stream, you gotta have a stream. And then somebody else but me, I'm like, look at all the leaks around that the lack of, okay, just good quality customer service, just flowing, seating players and everything, so that players don't get aggravated. Chips moving, players getting the chips right away when they get stacked. Little stuff like that where it increased the user experience, and that's where I think is most important.
Knowing your name when you walk in the door.
Yeah. So tell the aspiring poker room owners how to be successful, and where should they focus their attention and their cash flow, and don't spend too much money on silly things.
Sure. So everything rises and falls on leadership.
Okay.
And I think it starts with leadership. It starts with a strong team, a strong management team, and integrity is everything in business. Integrity is absolute everything. And it coming from kind of a gambling poker environment, maybe there's possibly lack of integrity in some things. But when you're running a room, integrity is everything. Following the laws of the land, crossing your T's and dotting your I's, making sure you're registered with the state for sales tax and paying sales tax on your seat rental and your memberships, making sure you're taking out payroll taxes for your employees at the state level. All the little things that are in the back end that nobody knows about because you don't want to get tripped up and cost yourself an audit or something that's going to cost you money. So those things are very key. And when you treat people the right way and your team the right way, and you treat them like a decent human being and provide a world-class working environment, everything else will take care of itself, I promise you.
Okay. So promo is not really that big of a deal.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
When you're in a new room like the Poker House, a newer room, and you're trying to compete with TCA, yeah, you're going to have to do, like, they're $5 an hour for 2.5 right now. Perfect. I mean, that's an ideal promo, but you don't want to put all your focus on promos. I mean, you got to give the customers some stuff. Have fair prices, don't gouge them. You got to be fair with it. Throw some sales out there and stuff, like TCH does and the Poker House does. But you don't. Not everything rises and falls on promos. That's for sure.
Okay. And then finally, the stream, because everybody thinks TCH's success is because of the stream. What I think the stream has very little value. Live stream, I just think live stream, while it brings a little bit of awareness to bring new players, but the people who watch live streams aren't really the recreationals you can really want to attract anyways to that will add to the ecosystem. And, right, a lot of people who live stream are kind of really hardcore poker players. So then, a lot because
unpack that a little bit. You think that the people that watch the live stream are nits or just grinders? They have grinders. They have
a higher, just say the skill level is a little bit above versus a guy who doesn't watch stream and I'm just gonna hang out with my friends and play poker. So those are your locals that can come in and really add value to your poker room. Whereas look at TCH, the traction they got. Yeah, we got a few recreational players that come, but all the you can say the recreational players are local. All the people who knew about the streams and came here are all the grinders and all the pros.
Yeah.
So the streams actually made the ecosystem a little bit worse. So as a business, yeah, you brought more customers, but then I think that's short-sighted, because then you're killing your own ecosystem, and by basically the money's going to be flushed out of the local economy and going to overseas.
Right, but from a business standpoint, they're building a brand around it. There's only so many poker vloggers and poker scene online, and it's not a massive amount of people out there. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a smaller, even though it's global, it's a very niche community, and is what they're doing is they're capitalizing on the niche. They're getting in and getting their name known, and they're building a brand amongst that, and they're receiving revenue that they might lose otherwise through YouTube or whatever. And so it's kind of maybe a catch-22. You might be killing from your ecosystem, but you're drawing revenue. When you have 30,000 subscribers, you're drawing some YouTube revenue and some ad money, but it's about building a brand. They're setting themselves off to be to be the best brand in Texas, and they're using every little niche they can to do that.
So the stream is a marketing tool.
Yeah, it's definitely, because we had a stream at Kojack's we started. Mm-hmm. It's still going. And I did all the setup, all the IT stuff. I got to be a part of all that early on stuff, and it was a lot of fun. I built an RFID table. We had all those bells and whistles, and it was pretty cool to do. But it's just people like to be seen, I think. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a pull from that. People want to be known. People people want to be seen on, hey, check me out. I'm watching this. You got 20,000 subscribers. I mean, or 30. I think they got 34. That's a pretty good following. That's not Andrew Neme's, and that's just people, and it's kind of a cool thing for them. And so there's some other outliers that I think help drive that. otherwise. But the stream, it's not an end all be all, but I think it's a cool thing to have. If I was consulting with a poker club starting out, I would advise not to do one. I don't think it's a necessary end all be all. It works for TCH because they started in Austin, now they're in Dallas. It's helped their brand. But if the poker house is looking to do another one, it's not that big. If you do one good, I mean, it's cool, it's fun, but it's not like it costs a lot. I mean, you're looking at a minimum of a $10K investment to get the equipment up and going on the cameras and the equipment, and then the table alone. I mean, the table alone is about a $15,000 investment for RFID cards and table and whatnot. So
you need a new team.
Yeah, and you got to have a production team. Your overhead goes up. Your drives your overhead cost, and you want to keep your costs down for your players. You don't want to drive your costs. So I think it's because they're the biggest in Texas and have multiple clubs and have more resources and been around the longest, that they can afford to do some things. They got some things in their budget, but don't try to make it, I got to do a stream because TCH does or Kojack does or whoever. It's not that big of a deal.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
it's not. But you're kind of repping these as like three different things. I think it's a combination, right? And I don't think there's a magic bullet, right? Like not one of them's gonna supersede the other. Right?
But
you have the right balance.
Correct, balance. But then, as a business owner, you don't have so much cash flow and so much time, so you gotta prioritize. And that was our goal, was try to prioritize. If you're a new club, a small club, what was your priorities? And basically, John said the priority is internal team and management, and don't focus so much on the wows and the whistles.
Yeah, because if you have the right team, they're going to take care of your patrons coming in, the players. I mean, you're going to have great customer service. You're going to have you're going to do everything you can for them. So I think that's where your focus has to be when you're starting anything new.
I think
is your team, because your team will carry you the distance.
And most people don't think that. Most people, like everyone you talk to at the poker table who has an idea of the old poker club, they have all these bells and whistles, but nobody ever talks about, we're going to execute and we're going to execute.
Functional pieces.
Yeah, the most important piece actually is just the boring stuff that people don't care about.
Well, that's what helped me. I was basically.
Let me open that up a little bit more. So the dealers, did you train your dealers? Did you guys have like, this is how we're going to deal? This is the rules we expect you to follow.
Yeah. Okay. So I just took from everything I could take from WSOP, WPT. I became a tournament director. I went to the TDA in Vegas and got certified, had my manager certified in that. We tested for it. We wanted to know the rules. We studied the rules. YouTube.
Robert's Rules of Poker.
Yeah, Robert's Rules of Poker also. Everything that was out there we could get our hands on, we studied in depthly before we ever opened. And we trained some from the underground scene to come in. We had to break some habits, and then recruitment was so key for us because our games grew quick. We were only a 10-table room, but again, that's only 300,000 people out there. Sure. There's a lot, and we stayed busy. On a Friday night, we'd run 7 or 8 tables. That's a lot for that area. It really is a lot. There's a lot of just transient workers working in the oil field out there, but because of that, I had to kind of get on the recruiting trail, and I just recruited from Choctaw. I recruited from Vegas. I played a lot of WSOP circuit events and WSOP events, and I just built relationships with the dealers. And you could kind of learn who was tired of being on the road. Yeah. And we recruited. Half of our staff was WSOP. And
bonafide dealers.
Yeah, and knew the game, and so that was important. But knowing the rules, I mean, you can't. The floors, I've seen some floor calls in here, and they've done a great job, and they understand the rules. And I think that's important because there's a lot of rules out there. You can really whiff. You come up to a table, you can whiff because there's some things from tournament and cash that are totally different. 100%. And so you got to be sharp in your mind. You want to make the right call. You're not going to always get it right. But yes, dealers are so key, man. Dealers are so key. And having a good dealer that doesn't expose cards, that keeps the action moving, that doesn't talk too much. There's so much that goes into a good dealer, as you guys know, playing. Yeah. And so getting that staff, the floor, I mean, your entire team, your cage, your cashier's cage, there's so much money back there that you can make a mistake and you have to be accountable for. There's so much that goes into it. And I think just over the years, being a serial entrepreneur and having multiple other businesses taught me a ton going into this. This was just 2017, but I had 20 years of serial entrepreneurship under my belt where I learned a lot from. And so I was a poker player that loved the game, that knew I could execute what I've learned in other business to do it. Not a poker player trying to be a first-time business owner. I think that's what some people get it wrong is
Yeah.
they're a poker player and they don't have any entrepreneurial experience, and that's where you're going to get it wrong, or just cost you a bunch of money, learn from your mistakes, and keep going.
Yeah. And if you went back to my podcast, the 1 and 2, basically all my failures were because lack of a good team.
Yep.
So I agree with him that team is the most important thing.
Yep.
So I guess we'll try to conclude from here, and it seems like so far we have nothing but good news. Even the problems are good problems.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I think the future of poker is very bright. I'm back here for a few months and had people talk to me about wanting to maybe open a club and consult. I'm kind of kicking it around. I don't know that I want to be a club owner again because I got the freedom of family and travel, and I've got some mentorship programs going where we're teaching some people in Central America some things, and so that's important to me, is to grow people, not just my pocketbook, but it's exciting. It's exciting what's going on in Dallas, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes over the next couple of years because there's a lot of potential for growth and a lot of great things here. So I'm excited.
Basically, you're swamped in opportunities.
Yes.
That's a good thing to have.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you, John. And
yes, man.
Thank you,
for
Dirk,
having me.
Thank you,
coming
sir.
here, and we'll keep things chugging along, and we'll see where it goes from here.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.